We spend pretty much our whole lives collecting memories, building this identity we call me. But what if that's not the real you? What if your true self is something much, much deeper? Not what you remember, but the very thing that makes remembering possible in the first place. Well, today, we're going to dive deep and try to find the absolute bedrock of your existence.
This quote right here from Anaïs Nin, this is the perfect jumping-off point. It basically says that what you see out there isn't, well, it isn't what's really out there. It's a reflection of what's in here, right? We're always trying to make the world fit into the boxes we've already built in our minds. But if you follow that idea all the way back to the very beginning, you run into a real head-scratcher.
So yeah, think about that for a second. Your very first moment of being aware. I mean, really think. Before you had any memories, before you learned a single thing, before you even knew you were a you, there was that first spark. How in the world did that happen? How did the lights just turn on? That's the mystery we're going to try to crack today.
All right, so to even begin to solve this, we've got to face what's called the perception paradox. And trust me, it's a real doozy. It's a logical knot that kind of messes with everything we think we know about learning.
And this whole thing falls under a field called epistemology. It sounds fancy, but it's really just the study of knowledge. It asks the most basic question you can imagine. How do we actually know anything? Like, how does all the stuff coming in through your eyes and ears turn into a real, meaningful experience?
Okay, so here's the key idea. To understand anything, your brain needs a reference point. Let's take the color red. For you to see red, you have to already have some kind of internal file for what redness is. Without that file, the light hitting your eyes is just static. It's just noise. It's the difference between hearing random sounds and hearing a song you recognize.
And boom, there's the paradox right there. If you need experience to perceive, how can you have a first experience? A newborn baby has zero prior knowledge. No reference files, no memories, nothing. So, logically, they shouldn't be able to perceive anything. It's like a computer that needs software to run, but has no way to install the first piece of software. The whole system just can't boot up.
So how do we get out of this mess? It seems impossible, right? Well, there's a way out, but it requires a pretty radical idea. What if we're not starting from scratch? What if we come pre-installed with something like a soul's blueprint?
The only way this puzzle makes any sense is if we have what philosophers call a priori knowledge. All that means is knowledge that comes before. It's not something you learn from experience, it's something you're born with. It's like the basic operating system for your consciousness, already there from day one.
Okay, but you might be thinking, where's the proof? And this is where it gets really, really interesting. When people dig way back for their absolute earliest memory, a surprising number of them don't remember an event, like a birthday. They remember a visual, a highly structured, geometric, almost fractal-like image, a lot like a mandala. Now, how is that possible? Science tells us a newborn's brain is a tabula rasa, a blank slate. It shouldn't be able to just invent something that complex. So where did that image come from?
This leads us to a really important distinction. You've got the mind, and you've got what we could call the soul. The mind, that's the blank slate. It's the software that gets written over time with memories and experiences. But the soul, that's the innate blueprint. That's the hardware, the fundamental code that has to be there before you can run any software. It's the architecture that makes perception possible, right from that very first moment.
Okay, I know what some of you are probably thinking. Wait a minute, isn't this just biology? Couldn't all this innate knowledge just be packed into our DNA? And you know what? That's a totally fair question. We've got to tackle that one directly.
And it's true, biology can pass down some amazing things. There's this classic experiment with Tryon's rats where they showed maze smarts could literally be inherited. More recently, scientists found that mice could pass down a learned fear of a certain smell to their kids and even grandkids through something called epigenetics. So yeah, the idea of inheriting information is definitely real.
But, and this is the big but, there's something crucial that biology doesn't explain. Biology can explain the content of what we perceive, the what. It can tell you why a mouse is afraid of a particular smell. But it can't explain the mechanism of perception, the how. It doesn't explain how that mouse is able to perceive a smell, any smell, in the first place. For that, you still need that underlying blueprint, that structural code.
So this all leads us to a really beautiful metaphor that can totally change how you think about who you are. It's all about the mirror of awareness.
Okay, just imagine for a second that your true self, your deepest nature, is like a mirror. And it's super important to remember, we're not talking about the reflections in the mirror. We're talking about the mirror itself. So let's break that down. The reflections, that's everything you normally identify with.
Your thoughts, your memories, your feelings, your personality, all of it. It's always changing, right? One minute you're happy, the next you're sad. But the mirror is the pure awareness that all of this is happening in. It's the silent, unchanging witness that lets all those reflections come and go. It doesn't get involved, it just is.
Now, here is the really wild part. Your brain, your mind, it can only ever see the reflections. In fact, your thoughts are reflections. The brain is this amazing tool for processing all the stuff appearing in the mirror, but that's all it can do. It can never, ever turn around and see the mirror itself. And why not? Because awareness can't look at itself. It's like trying to see your own eyeball with your own eyeball. You can't do it. Awareness isn't an object in the room. It's the room itself. It's the space where everything appears.
So if we're not the reflections, and our brains can't even perceive the mirror, then what are we? This question leads us to the final and most powerful idea of this whole thing. You are the light.
Just let that one sink in for a second. I shine, therefore all things appear. It completely flips the script. We tend to think there's a world out there and we just happen to perceive it. This says no, no, no. Your awareness is the very light that makes it possible for a world to appear in the first place.
And this means we have to drop a really common idea. We think of ourselves as a person, a body, a mind that has awareness, like it's something we own or a feature of our brain. But that's not it at all.
The truth is, you are the light. You are the awareness itself, that luminous, constant presence that is the source of absolutely everything you perceive. It's not something you have, it's what you are.
So that leaves us with one last question to chew on. We spend so much of our lives obsessing over the reflections, right? Trying to fix our personality, manage our thoughts, make our memories perfect. But what if that's not the point? What if the real task is to just stop polishing the reflections and realize that you are and always have been the mirror itself?